Yeah, my name is Robert Barton. I've been in the industry 14 years. Previously I worked in consumer products. I've worked for Berkeley Homes, Countryside, Cathedral, which is now U+I, and now Cornerstone, where I'm Executive Director. It's a small company with 10 people developing public sector land. I think most of the changes happened in the last 10 years. Up until about 2005, 2006, I would say most people, not just myself, but the industry hadn't really changed very much. But then technology started to happen. We had the economic problems, and things have changed massively. The whole world has changed, and also the environment as well. We've had lots of issues with environmental products in buildings and other things. So those three things have really changed the industry massively in the last 10 years, I would say. I think the environmental side has affected us massively. We've had all sorts of legislation, Code for Sustainable Homes, BREEAM, you name it, funding issues with people who didn't want to fund things unless they were environmentally sound, shall we say, which some of it's good, some of it's not so good. The economic side has changed massively. In 2008 we had the crash, and we've recently had Brexit, and that has changed how we do business fundamentally, from going primarily to public sector funding to private sector funding and back again in the space of 3 or 4 years. And when I speak to older people in the industry who've been in it longer than I am, they haven't seen that before, and they haven't even seen the things that have happened in the last month or so, which I think makes it very interesting, because it means it's an opportunity for those who are quick, smart and bright to grasp the opportunity and run with it. The biggest industry in the residential sector is the inequality between supply and demand. So whilst we haven't got limitations on the land supply that people think we have, the Greenbelt policies mean that land is limited, and therefore private developers have been developing what they can for the last 15, 20 years. Well, they're running out of land, so land is at a premium. And at the same time, public sector organisations like police stations, schools, fire stations, government buildings, they've got excess land that they're not using, warehouses, all that sort of thing. So the public sector needs private sector skills. So what we do is we take our private sector skills to the public sector, and we develop their land for them and bring forward land. For me, I think the changes in technology in society are massive, and we've seen that certainly in the residential sector. People say that the private rental, what they call PRS, private rental sector, is driven by supply and demand. It's also driven by technology and culture. And people say people skills are always important, and they are, but the way you use your people skills are changing. So I'm talking now on a video, whereas 5 years ago it would have been a quote on a website. So I think the way you future-proof your people skills in terms of how you come across is very important. Also, financial skills, I would say, are critical, because they don't change. So as we go through this world of massive change, viability, economic viability in particular, doesn't go away and won't go away. It comes back to the changing, and change is constant. It's all around us. Everything is changing all the time, but there are certain things that stay constant. And if you want to be in demand, you've got to stay with where there will be constant demand. And in all of real estate, not just the residential sector, but the key skills are understanding contracts, legal issues, law, you could say, and economics, the financial side, the appraisals. So if you have a knowledge of those two things, you will always be able to pick up everything else that's needed to be known. So if I were starting out again now, I would educate myself in the area of law and accounting. I think for me, there's two reasons why I love my job. Firstly, it's a little bit cliche, but every day's different. I don't ever go into the office and think, oh, today, here we go, another, same as yesterday. It's always different. And also the other fantastic thing about our job and what we do is that we do change the environments around us. So what we do makes an impact. The stuff that I have worked on and delivered and been involved in 10 years ago, I walk past on the way to work, and it's fantastic when you've done a good job to see it, look at it, know it and touch it. And I don't think many people get that satisfaction in their working life.